Hey there everybody, this is Austin Bach, and we are back for our second Ixalan draft here on Magic Online. I've gotten a couple drafts under my belt here since my first draft, so hopefully we'll be able to make some more informed decisions here. Our first rare is Dousing Dagger. I mean, my inclination is that this card is bad, but I don't know, because I've never seen it in play yet. So I might just take it for science here. This pack also doesn't look great. What would be the best card here? Deadeye Plunderers is pretty strong. I think it's in the best color combination. I like blue-black a lot. The effect is pretty strong. Best common here is probably Jade Guardian. This card has been very, very powerful in my initial drafts. But I think I'm going to take the rare and just try it out. I have no idea what it does, if it's any good. I think it wants to go with cheap flyers, so maybe we'll try to do something with that. But we'll just see what transpires. Keeps me open for future packs as well. Vanquish the Weak, pretty good removal spell. There's a rare missing, that doesn't tell me anything. None of these commons look super exciting. Kumena Speaker is pretty unexciting as well. I don't really see anything that catches my eye here. Romaging Goblin's okay. Suncrown Hunters is kind of expensive. I'm just going to take the removal spell, I suppose. I don't know. I don't really like any of these cards in this pack. This format has felt very low power level in terms of the commons. Like, look at this pack. There's so many cards, but none of them look good to me. And that's just kind of true of a lot of packs. I think the disparity between the good and the mediocre cards is pretty wide. This format is definitely a lot about synergy rather than power, which, you know, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but definitely makes some makes for some strange drafts. What do I even want to take here? Probably Tishana's Wayfinder. Looks like the best card here by quite a bit. None of the other commons look... I mean, there are some fine commons. I like the Stormfleet Pyromancer. It's pretty strong. And, you know, there's just like decent creatures, but I think the Wayfinder is one of the better green commons. It's just one of the better commons, period. Just a very solid, slightly above average card that I'm happy to have. Thresher Raptor is fine. I mean, these are just fine cards, but Wayfinder is the best in a vacuum. It's hard to know early in a draft in this format which direction you're supposed to go, because like I said, the cards are also synergy dependent, that sometimes you can take a card that looks good on paper, but if that archetype isn't open, then your draft can just be a train wreck. Like, it kind of flies in the face of traditional draft strategy of keeping yourself open, because in this format I feel like you're supposed to commit to an archetype like Pirates or Merfolk or whatever and roll with it, but I don't know. That's just my initial thoughts. It might evolve over time, as it usually does. In this pack I don't even know what to take. Bishop Soldier, Nest Robber, both okay, early aggressive creatures. I just don't see anything really exciting. I guess I'm just going to take a bear here. I don't think the rare is good. I'm going to take the Nest Robber. I want to see if it's good. I haven't had enough of a chance to play with it yet, so I've heard tales that it's not that strong, but I am a fan of 2 mana, 2 power haste. I think like back in Khans of Tarkir, one of my favorite cards of that format was Valley Dasher, which is 2 mana for a 2/2 haste that must attack every turn, which was kind of a consensus bad card that I really liked playing, because everyone undervalued it, and if you got like 3 or 4 copies of it, you could make it good. Okay, anyway, enough about that. Here it looks like a Pounce. I'm a fan. What else is there? Trove of Temptation, I think, is at its best in red-green, actually, because you're gonna more often have lots of big creatures, so you can threaten their creatures and just force them to chump attack every turn more often, but I still think Pounce is just a more man, why am I blanking on the word? More consistent card. There we go. Okay, what do we have here? Elaborate Fire Cannon. I think this card is better than I thought initially, but I still don't think it's very good. Direfleet Hoarder. I guess we can be like black-green. I don't think black-green has any support in this format, unfortunately. There's no tribe that corresponds to it. But, I mean, what else would we take? Like a commune with dinosaurs? If we were a green-red, there's a chance that we'd have a decent number of hits for it, but I mean, I think everything's just a much worse card than the Dire Fleet Hoarder, which could be pretty strong if we end up black. And here's another one. Ooh, Jade Guardian though. It's pretty late. I think this card is much stronger than people give it credit for. Every time I've seen it in play, it's just been insane. Hexproof 3/3 most of the time. You can just get a lot of value out of it. It just, you know, your pounces get much better because they can't get blown up by bounce or instant speed removal or anything, and there's lots of interesting things you can do with it. So I could start taking blue cards. Blue works a lot better with green than black or red do, I think. At least with what we have so far. I like both of these cards. The one with the win is notable especially because we have the Jade Guardian. That's the wombo combo right there. Just make a giant hexproof unbeatable flyer. I think the Depths of Desire is a better card though, especially because green-red tends to be a little lighter on the interaction side of things. Man, and we get another Jade Guardian. Alright, I think I'm in for the blue-green dumb deck. Ixalan's Diviner is also pretty good. Deeproot Waters can be good in some blue-green decks, but the Jade Guardian's much more important. Ooh, and we get Commander Speaker back. Alright, so it looks like we're kind of moving into blue-green Merfolk here. I can take out these black and red cards. Red we were never really considering anyway. We just took it out of a weak pack. But now I'm starting to get excited because we've got some sweet synergies going already, even if we're a little light on synergy at the moment. Shorekeeper is more of a sideboard card, I think. This is a Merfolk, but not a great one. If we end up with like a ton of Merfolk synergies, you never know. Storm Sculptor, in the right deck, it is a Merfolk. I guess I'll put it in the main for now, you never know. If we end up with a low enough curve, this is a pretty nice curve topper in like an aggressive deck. You can just like bounce a Commander Speaker and replay it right away. Okay, and now let's see what we have here. Shipwreck Looter is a good cheap play. Another Jade Guardian, which I'm leaning towards already. I mean, it's certainly a better card than the Shipwreck Looter. It's just at some point we're going to have to start thinking about curve considerations. But, I mean, just having 3 Jade Guardians kind of opens up our options pretty significantly here. Because now we can just start taking, like, a bunch of cards like the +2/+2 and Flying Enchantment and, you know, combat tricks, and all of our future pounces get better and all that good stuff. So I am happy with that. Okay. Daring Saboteur is pretty strong. It's a nice 2-drop. The only thing I'm looking at right now is, are we sure we want to be blue? Because blue works much better with the cards we have right now, which is what's causing me to lean towards it more heavily. But I want to be sure that I don't like shoehorn myself in. If I start seeing really strong black cards, for example, I could easily jump ship and go back to green-black or whatever. But I think Daring Saboteur is just the best card in this pack anyway. Even though it's not a Merfolk, it's just a strong 2-drop that retains its value late into the game. I like the Diviner as well. I like the Aerialist. But, yep, I think I'll just take the Saboteur. And now we've got Sailor of Means and New Horizons, both of which do very similar things. almost identical things, not quite. But I think the Sailor of Means is a little bit better, just because it's the same effect but on a body. Although the +1/+1 counter is relevant with the Jade Guardian, so that's notable. There's also a Stormfleet Spy, which now that I'm looking at it might actually be better than both in this deck. It's kind of funny. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, but Sailor of Means, like, in most formats would be just like a clear-cut one of the top blue commons, but in this format, blue is all about tempo and aggression, and Sailor of Means kind of flies in the face of that. So, like, the place that I've seen it do the best work is in, like, a green-heavy ramp deck, just as, like, a pseudo-green ramp creature. But Stormfleet Spy just works a lot better with what green, or what blue rather, is trying to do. Alright, here's an Ixalan's Keeper. There's another 2-drop. Like I said, I do want to keep my curve low, so even though these are not Merfolk, I am happy to see these quality 2-drops in my colors, so I'm just going to keep taking them. Ooh, Shaper Apprentice is nice. That's a nice aggressive body, which is a Merfolk. I don't think we have any Merfolk synergies right now outside of the Kamena Speaker, but I'm hoping to get a couple of those like +1/+1 counter on Merfolk cards and some other synergies as we move forward. Ooh, Deeproot Warrior. Ooh, another, and a 1 with the wind. I think the creature's more valuable. The 2-drop, rather, specifically. But it's close. I like both of these cards. I kind of want to take the 1 with the wind just to experiment with these Jade Guardians some. The fact that we have 3 kind of gives it a lot more extra oomph. And like, if I have to replace this with a mediocre 2-drop, that's fine, but 1 with the wind is kind of an irreplaceable effect if it ends up being desirable in our deck, which I think it is. Oh, and look at that, we just get another copy of Deeproot Warrior right afterwards. It's pretty nice. I think it's better than Jungle Delver for sure. Go ahead and take it. Alright, we are in, boys. Jade Guardian number 4. Now I'm definitely happy I took the 1 with the wind, and I could go for a couple more. This deck is so stupid, but I like it. So my plan at this point is to take all 2 and 3 drops, preferably ways to buff up the Jade Guardians in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to be on the lookout for those. It also means the Storm Sculptor is looking pretty solid as well. Ooh, Windstrider though, that is a Merfolk. And I'm okay with having like 1 5-drop if it's quality and or synergistic with our deck. Dive Down's also pretty nice, just as a cheap trick. Maybe that's better actually. There's a chance I need this more than I need a Windstrider. Ooh, Deeproot Waters. Might actually end up being good in this deck. We've got a pretty good number of Merfolk. What are we at? 1, 2. It's not a Merfolk. That's not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Huh. Okay. Oh, I'll consider it in any case. Also pretty nice with the Dousing Dagger, because it'll give us an endless stream of things to equip the dagger to. See, one of my hang-ups with Dousing Dagger is that the 2 halves of the cards are kind of fly in the face of the other. Like, Dousing Dagger wants you to put it in a deck with a bunch of cheap, evasive creatures to hit with it, but then once you flip it, like, what are you using the 3 mana on? Just more cheap evasive, like 2-drop flyers and stuff? So they kind of contradict each other. Alright, here's a New Horizons. I probably won't play it, but it's an option at least. Alright, we get our Windstrider anyway. Alright, as I said, now I'm just going to be looking to lower my curve as much as possible, because with this as our top end, we can pretty much do whatever we want as far as, you know, cheap tricks and literal cheap tricks, like putting 1 with the wind on our hexproof creature. Bush League stuff. Pretty happy with how this is going. Creature count's looking good. I only need like maybe 2 more 2 or 3 drop creatures and I'll be happy. Now I just want to fill up my deck with good like spells at the basically. Okay, this card's unplayable. I think this card is highly overrated. I think this card is actually pretty similar to the Growing Rights of Itlamok. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be using all this extra mana on. I guess like Ixalan's Keeper, or maybe like activating my Daring Saboteur, but I think the front half is also just not very good. Look at the top 4, hit a creature. That's not guaranteed to hit, so if you miss, it's just you're down a card. If it could hit creature or land, I'd be a little more interested. So I think this card is actually not very good. So I'm looking at this second Ixalan's Keeper. Even though it's not a Merfolk, I am happy to have more cheap impactful 2-drops that retain their value late in the game. So I think I'm going to take that here. Dreamcaller Siren, huh? Again, not a Merfolk. I don't think I have any pirates either. I have the Stormfleet Spy. I have the Daring Saboteur. That might be it. But I don't see anything much better. Actually, Water Trap Weaver is really strong too. And it just fits so much better with our deck. I mean, I think the Siren, like, if you took away the second half of it, if it was just a 3/3 flash flying that can't block anything but non-flyers, it's just a worse card than Windstrider on average, or like a slightly upgraded one at best. But the Water Trap Weaver has a relevant creature type. It does what we're trying to do, like perfectly. It's a creature that also temporarily gets something out of the way. So I would have called you crazy if you told me I was going to make this pick a while ago, but I think it's the correct one. Run aground is removal. Do I want Jade Guardian number 5? I don't think so. I think I'm okay with just 4. I could go for some more removal. Even though it's not a 2 or 3 drop, it's going to complement our strategy pretty well. I also like Crash the Ramparts, but I feel like we can probably wheel that or get something comparable later in the pack. Ooh, Tishana's Wayfinder, you say? Also another Depths of Desire, which would go pretty well in this deck, but I think the Wayfinder is just a little better. Okay, ooh, River Sneak. This is actually a really good River Sneak deck. It's an aggressive 2-drop. We have plenty of Merfolks to pump it up. There's also another Water Trap Weaver, which I'm kind of sad to be passing, but I think River Sneak is better with what we've got going on right now. Ooh, Air Elemental. Man, these packs have been great for us. We've got so many options. Jade Guardian, a Shaper Apprentice. I might even take the Shaper Apprentice over Air Elemental. This deck is so stupid that it's kind of exactly what we want to be doing. It's a Merfolk, cheap flying, kind of exactly what we want. Air Elemental is clearly a better card, but Shaper Apprentice is cheaper, and I think this deck is one of the few decks that can truly appreciate that. Siren Lookout, Siret's Ruse, Depths of Desire. Probably Depths of Desire. I think is better than these other cards. Siren Lookout's a better card, but we're good on creatures already, and we just want to make sure we have enough interaction. Our creature suite is going to be fine on its own. Cancel for the board, I guess. Shorekeeper for the board, I guess. We already have one. So now we even get to make some cuts. This looks like a deck that can run 16 land pretty happily. Not only do we have a low curve, we have like the double Wayfinder that can find us the lands. Stormfleet Spy draws a card pretty often. So I think I just want to cut 2 cards and call it a day. Blinding Fog, I don't think so. Maybe Sailor of Means finds its way into my deck at some point, but probably not. So I'm looking at cutting one of these Jade Guardians, unfortunately. We ended up not having a ton of ways to interact with it. Just the one with the wind, basically. We didn't end up with any sweet combos for it, sadly. And then as for my other cut, I'm looking at like Ixalan's Keeper, just because it's not a Merfolk. And I think this is the deck. 16 land, and let's do a final Merfolk count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's pretty good. Sideboard that in. Can we go deep enough for Deeproot Waters? I don't think I'm playing a third one of those. Maybe that'll incentivize me to just play mono Merfolk. So I think I could bring in the other Jade Guardian. I could even play the Headwater Sentries if I wanted to. It's probably a little too high variance, so I don't think I'm going to play both of those Deeproot Waters. So let's take a look at this. Removal-wise, we've got a couple bounce spells. We've got the Pounce. Dive Down can serve as a combat trick or like an anti-removal spell. Water Trap Reaver can tap things down. Could have gone for maybe a cheap pump spell or something, but I think we can make do with this. We've got the dagger that can pump up all our small stuff. I'm actually pretty happy with how this deck turned out. I feel like in this deck, Jade Guardian, like even though I was excited about just going to town with giant hexproof guys, I think more often than not this card is just going to be used in our deck to pump up one of our existing Merfolks to get him in combat earlier. But that's fine too. As for the mana base, let's figure that out. They want 9/7. Let's take a quick peek at our mana. Clearly much heavier into blue. Sort by mana cost again. We do kind of want green early, but we can live without it for a while. A lot of our green cards are still okay on like turn 4 or 5, but we definitely need blue pretty early. So 9/7 makes sense to me. So I think I'm going to run it like this. Oh, great. Yeah, I thought there might have been a bug here because it looked like there was an extra Deep-Root Waters in our deck, but anyway, I'll get that all sorted out and I will return for round number 1.